Call the meeting to order, Winslow Town Council, December 9th, 2024. Recite Pledge of Allegiance, please.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mike Joseph.
Here.
Dale Macklin.
Here.
Fran Hudson.
Here.
Adam Lint.
Here.
Lee Trahan.
Here.
And Jeff West.
Here.
Are there any conflicts of interest this evening?
Yes. On 9, D as in dog. I'm a member of the post and I'd like to recuse my vote.
And does everyone agree with that?
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, approval of minutes of the previous meeting, October 28th, 2024. I have posted amended minutes.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion?
What was it?
A
No,
motion.
the minutes, but what did you, the amending?
The amendment was for the portion, sorry, the discussion item for the ambulance, so we're loaning it to Fairfield. I did not add that it was added at the meeting on the agenda. When I posted my minutes, I added that, so I needed to make that correction.
Any further discussion? Being none?
Jeff West,
Yes.
Mike Joseph,
Yes.
Dale Macklin,
Yes.
Fran Hudson,
Yes.
Adam Lint,
Yes.
and Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0 to approve amended minutes of October 28th, 2024. And we also had November 11th, 2024 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Being none?
Mike Joseph,
Yes.
Dale Macklin,
Yes.
Fran Hudson,
Yes.
Adam Lint,
Yes.
Lee Trahan,
Yes.
and Jeff West.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Under communications, we still have the Charter Review Committee, which is still being tabled. I haven't heard if that's coming off the table at this point.
I think with everything we have going on, we might as well just wait till sometime after the first of the year, unless anybody has objection to that.
The boards committee appointments, library trustee Gwen Hawes would like to be appointed. There was 2 open seats. Those were filled, and then we've had one person resign. She sold her home in town and moved out of town. And the library trustees have approved this person, or
Yeah, they recommend.
recommended. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, they recommend, they approve.
Yes, that's it. And she was
She has been a
on
trustee, yeah.
the trustee board, yep.
Any discussion?
No, you gotta move it first, Jeff.
No. Yeah, sorry. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Being none?
Dale Macklin,
Yes?
Fran Hudson,
Yes.
Adam Lint,
Yes.
Lee Trahan,
Yes.
Jeff West,
Yes.
and Mike Joseph.
Yes.
Motion to approve appointment of Gwen Hawes as library trustee passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Reports of committees and commissions, the town manager's report.
Thank you, Audra. Dear members of the council and the citizens of Winslow, the following events took place this past month. I received the final $1.4 million invoice from the construction company who finished up phase 1 of the Chafee Brook project. I believe that's probably the largest check that Caitlin's ever written out. I've completed the paperwork to request reimbursement of $675,000 from the Environmental Protection Agency. This bill closes out the $1 million CDS grant that we received. The other $725,000, the other equation of that is reimbursed by the bond from Chafee Brook. So this is huge for us cleaning this thing up, paying the bill and getting it behind us. The stage update, I've put a copy of what the stage is going to look like in front of all the council members, and there's a picture of it up on the board. We've come together and we've designed something that I think is going to fit. It's going to be pleasing for the park down there. Construction is going to commence this spring. They're planning on breaking ground as soon as they can get heavy equipment in on that park. The foundation has been designed by Hodgkin Engineering Services in Waterville. The difference between what you're looking at and what we've decided to do with that, we're actually going to have pass-through doors built into that backstop. That's when the floodwaters come up on the river and go across that park. Those doors are going to be forced open and the water's going to flow through the stage instead of pushing on the back. It's got a full foundation. The foundation is designed so it's actually at an angle, so it's going to take an awful lot to lift it out of the ground. It's ADA compliant. As you can see around the pillars, they're going to have concrete that's going to help support them in case logs or debris coming down the river, so it won't get knocked off its footing like the last one did. The only design difference that what we're going to go with is the arched beam that you see up top. We've decided not to do that because of the cost of that one beam. Basically, we'd have to get a shipbuilder to help steam it and bend it like that. So what we're going to do is actually with 45 degrees. It's built out of green hemlock, and the design and the build is coming out of Albion Timber Framers, which is a local organization. So we're excited. This stage is probably going to be one of the more beautiful stages in the region, and it's going to last for years and years if everything works out. People are going to enjoy using it, so it should be exciting next spring when we start seeing this thing built. The budget, we're moving forward with that. This is a big mechanical part of the job, and there's a lot of moving parts to this thing. But we're starting to put all the numbers together now. We're starting to put numbers together, not all of them yet, but that's moving along. I met with Maine Water regarding an easement to reestablish a water line at the school's football field. They're changing the location on that. The location that came from the old junior high, but with everything that's going on up there, it was decided that we're actually coming in from a different angle. Bid opening for the asbestos removal at the junior high, that's happening tonight. We actually held the bid opening, I'm sorry. We're gonna select the contractor tonight, and hopefully we can get that thing tied up and get that out of the way as quickly as possible. I want to send out a word of appreciation to Katie Philbrick for her hard work working through the mechanics of our budget. She's a huge help, and I think she's bringing a lot of value to her job. So that's all I have.
I have a question. On the asbestos removal, it said something about one of the walls are going to have to be removed, and it says removal of asbestos and partial demolition of a bathroom. Why is it we have to remove a wall? Is it something that?
I'm not familiar. Paul might be more able to answer that question than me.
Not really. I mean, that's something Craig Wilson must have come up with to get to the asbestos material of the wall.
Would they find some asbestos in the wall?
They must have.
Oh, okay.
They have a piping probably that's in the wall. That's all I can think of.
Okay, all right.
That's it.
Any other department heads want to? No? So we have no tabled business this evening and no old business.
Hold on.
Accept reports.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right.
We have
Do I have a
motion to-
motion to accept the reports?
Motion to accept.
Second. Any discussion? Being none?
Dale Macklin,
Yes.
Fran Hudson,
Yes.
Adam Lind,
Yes.
Lee Trahan,
Yes.
Jeff West,
Yes.
and Mike Joseph.
Yes.
Motion to accept the reports passes 6-0. Okay, on to new business. Ordinance number 12-2024, the Town of Winslow to approve and adopt the attached changes to sections 300-23 and 300-91 of the zoning ordinance by adding the underline and deleting the strike-through language in the attached documents. We did hold a public hearing on this in November.
And this is LD 2003.
Very good.
So moved.
Second. Garrett, do you want to explain that for those who may not know?
Yeah, so LD 2003 is a state legislative law that got passed in through to bring up the housing in the state of Maine. So what it allows is multiple houses on lots. You can now have 2 on one driveway, still in the stipulations of land use and setbacks, and then also accessory and additional dwellings, which will be explained in each one of the land charts, or you can give me a call in my office. I'd be happy to explain if you have further questions.
I have a question. You said 2 houses can be on one driveway?
Correct.
Who's the driveways? Who owns that driveway? Is it the town that's gonna?
No, it would be whoever owned that lot. So if you, so like, just in throwing an easy one out there, saying you're in the rural district and the land use says that you have to have 2 acres. If you have a 4-acre lot, you could put 2 homes on that 4-acre lot with that
Okay.
one driveway.
All right.
Any further discussion on that? Being none?
Fran Hudson,
Yes.
Adam Lind,
Yes.
Lee Trahan,
Yes.
Jeff West,
Yes.
Mike Joseph,
Yes.
and Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Ordinance number 13-2024, the addition of 2-hour parking on the east side of Bay Street, running north from the intersection of Bay Street and Halifax Street for a distance of 100 feet. And this is a public hearing.
At this time, we'll open the public hearing. Does anybody who'd like to speak on this come up to the podium and do so? Okay, we'll close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second? Any discussion amongst the council? Being none?
Adam Lind,
Yes.
Lee Trahan,
Yes.
Jeff West,
Yes.
Mike Joseph,
Yes.
Dale Macklin,
Yes.
and
Yes.
Fran Hudson.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Order number 24-2024, an order providing for authorization for the town manager to sign a contract with, which I've left blank because I don't know who you'll approve, for asbestos abatement at the old Winslow Junior High.
So I've provided a summary sheet of all of the bids that came in. The lowest came in with statewide asbestos removal. Total bid is $102,000. That's $86,964 for the removal inside, and then the roof vault on it. When we do the deconstruction or the demo of the building, we're gonna have to bring them back in to pull the roof off. So that's the lowest. I did talk with Craig Wilson from the company, and I asked him, is there any company here that we should be concerned with? And he has no problems with any of them. I recommend going with the lowest bid on this one.
We have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Discussion?
What was the name of that company?
The company is Statewide Asbestos Removal Incorporated,
Statewide Asbestos Removal.
Inc.
I'm sorry, Al, what was the amount for that?
The total amount is $102,964. That would be for both the inside and the roof. It's cheap compared to what I thought it was gonna be. Craig also said that he's about $40,000 under average, so
To add to that, he is good with the asbestos removal.
he is good.
Wasn't it the, I'm so sorry, I don't remember his name, Craig, maybe?
Yeah.
That had said originally he thought it was gonna cost $1 million to remove the asbestos?
No.
No, that was the entire project.
Oh, the whole thing.
But I think we're gonna be able to do that much less than that as well.
Cool.
We've already saved 300.
And probably
Plus
about
this.
50,000 on this one, so.
Did they start removing the, where the tank was, or did they start taking that out?
No, we don't have to.
They don't have to take the tank out
No.
at all?
No.
Okay.
I can leave it.
There's no seepage. Good.
Any further discussion on this?
Jeff, we have to move to amend
Correct.
order number 2024 to include the sum of $102,964
$64.
with statewide asbestos removal.
I'll second his motion to amend. Any discussion on the motion to amend? Being none.
Lee Trahan,
Yes.
Jeff West,
Yes.
Mike Joseph,
Yes.
Dale Macklin,
Yes?
Fran Hudson,
Yes.
and Adam Lynn.
Yes.
So the motion to amend to add the amount of $102,964 to order number 24-2024. So now we need a
Motion to
Motion.
accept as amended?
Second.
Through the chair. I have a question. That amount there, that's not including the roof, is it?
Yes, that is including
It
the
is
roof. There's two different prices. There's an alt price and then there's the base price. The base price is what's gonna take care of the internal portion of the building. When we get ready to do the demo on the building, we're gonna have to pull the roof off at that point in time, and that's what the cost is gonna be to remove the roof.
Okay, so that's all included in this 102,000, okay.
Yep.
Okay, so now we have an order approving for authorization for the town manager to sign a contract for $102,964 with Statewide Asbestos Removal, Inc. for asbestos abatement at the old Winslow Junior High.
Correct.
Lee Trahan,
Yes.
Jeff West,
Yes.
Mike Joseph.
Yes.
Dale Macklin.
Yes?
Fran Hudson.
Yes.
And Adam Lint.
Yes.
Motion to accept order number 2024-2024 as amended passes 6-0. Resolution number 34-2024, the approval for the application for the special amusement renewal permit for Merciless Russo Post number 8835, located at the VFW, 175 Veterans Drive in Winslow.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I did speak with the police and code officer, and there has been no issues.
Being none?
Jeff West,
Yes.
Mike Joseph,
Yes.
Dale Macklin,
Yes?
Fran Hudson,
Yes.
Adam Lint,
Yes.
and Lee is abstaining from this vote, so it passes 5-0 with one abstention. Resolution number 35-2024, an application for an on-premise liquor license renewal by the Point After Inc., 252 China Road, Winslow, Maine.
So moved.
Second.
Well,
Any discussion?
There has been no issues as well.
Being none?
Mike Joseph,
Yes.
Dale Macklin,
yes?
Fran Hudson,
Yes.
Adam Lint,
Yes.
Lee Trahan,
Yes.
and Jeff West.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Okay, on to discussion. Can town office hours on Christmas Eve.
Thank you, Audra. Christmas is on Wednesday this year, as everybody knows. We're requesting that the town office close at noontime on Christmas Eve. There's a lot of people who celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve. It allows people to get ready for the day as well. That's what the majority of the towns will be doing this year.
I don't see any issue with that.
Question? So if we're closed on Christmas Day and we're closing early on Christmas Eve, does that also mean then Thursday's off as well?
No, we're working Thursday.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, I'm all set. Thank
Okay.
you.
There was no vote on it. I just wanted to, in case somebody objected to it.
On to the food pantry would like to rent out the Lithgow Library.
And I have Bruce here from the food pantry. Bruce, come on up here and talk with us about that. I was approached by Bruce back a couple of weeks ago, and he is very interested in the food pantry doing something with the Lithgow Library. So I asked him to come in to chat with you, and so we can kind of at least chat about this thing, figure out where we want to go. If it's decided we want to go in that direction, then we'll go through the process of actually officially voting on it.
Hi, good evening, everyone. If you don't know me, Bruce Patiglieri, Director of Winslow Community Cupboard. Christy Letourneau is my Assistant Director, and runs the yard sale that we have, which is one of our most popular fundraising activities to keep the food bank from growing and financially. So once we learned that the building next door has become vacant, I did inquire, is it something that we could rent out to use that building for almost like a permanent yard sale, resale shop, whatever you would like to call it. There are other food banks in the state that do this, and they use it to help offset the cost of the food, prices there. We're very interested. We would like to use it for that. There will be no food stored there. And because right now, when we run a yard sale, we got the permission through the church. We use the Fellowship Hall of Winslow Congregational Church, which is about this size, not much bigger. And we have to take everything out of storage in the trailer or downstairs in the basement, set it up, all due on a Saturday morning. So there's many hours involved prior, open, then clean up afterwards and get the church ready for the next morning. So this location seemed to be perfect. It's right next door. We could use it just for the yard sale. We wouldn't have to keep breaking everything down, resetting it. We would use the upper level for the sale. The lower level will be just for storage when donations come in, where Christy and the other volunteers has time to go through it and then bring it upstairs.
Now, are we talking, I'm sorry, through the chair, are we also talking clothes or anything else that can be used that's donated in this?
So I probably will have a small area for clothes for people that are in need.
If you could step up to the microphone so
Oh,
we can
sorry.
hear, the rest of the world can hear.
So I
you.
will have a small area for clothes for people in need. We do have a lot of people that come to us and ask for warm jackets and stuff
Okay.
like that. So I
All
will
right.
have a small area, but not a lot.
All right,
of
thank you,
clothes.
Christie.
What about the heat for the building?
So I did have a contractor come out this past Thursday, hoping that the furnace is salvageable, but it is not. We did just receive an estimate tonight for $16,000 that would have to replace that entire furnace system. So, with the council discussion, we would just use it more of a 3-season? The 1 day a week that would be open, do we use electric heaters just for that day? And then carry on, or would the council require us to put in a new heating system, is what I would need the discussion from you guys.
Through the chair on this. My only concern about that is you're gonna wanna have, you got bathrooms, and you're gonna wanna have running water, right?
We would use the pantry bathroom or the church bathroom. It's right there, so we would just utilize that.
Right, plus the church and the pantry are ADA, so they, could use the ramp to get in and use the bathroom as well. So we necessarily don't have to use the bathrooms in the wintertime in the building.
Right. The other concern I would have as well would be ADA compliance, where you actually have the members of the public going into that facility. I'd like to look into that to find out if we would have to bring that into ADA compliance. And if we have to do that, that's gonna mean we're gonna have to, somebody's gonna have to invest in an elevator, the bathrooms are gonna have to be made ADA compliant. I mean, you have to do the whole shooting match, including wheelchair ramps to get into the building.
Right, the wheelchair ramp, I'm not concerned about it, we can have that built.
Right.
And that, I know, we could also look into stair chairs like what church has, to get down those 4 or 5 steps on each level.
Right.
And then as far as, I don't know what the town would require, is there insurance on the building through the town? Do we supply the insurance as a tenant? You know, what are the requirements from the council?
The contract that we had worked to go with the Genealogy Society was they maintained the building, they provided all the insurance, they took there was no cost to the taxpayers
Oh, right.
whatsoever for that building.
Okay.
And that would include all of the electrical, all the plumbing
Everything.
that the tenant would be responsible for?
Do you have any kind of idea what you charge to rent it?
What we've done in the past is we've leased that building at $1 per year, and it was a 30-year lease that we had. And so basically, the taxpayers didn't have anything to do with the facility whatsoever. That 30-year lease has expired, and it's now, this is where we are right now. Bruce had actually come to me and asked me if he could duplicate what we had with the Genealogy Society.
And I know this time of year it's irrelevant, but I also know that the town cuts the grass, and I would provide that we would do the lawn maintenance for that, so the town, it wouldn't be another strain on the town that they have to worry about the grass and taxpayer dollars for that.
Could that be used for 3 seasons with no heat?
I don't see why
Depending on
not.
what your schedule, how you schedule things? 16,000 is a lot of money to put into a
Yeah,
furnace.
it is. But I also know it's a discussion, it's December, so we may not, even get approval through February, March, at that point, and then we'll start getting into the warmer months.
Did we have any damage with the flood of that building again? Did we get a lot of water in that?
Well, I mean, we had mold issues because of that. The Genealogy Society hired a company to come in to mitigate the mold, and they've gone downstairs and repainted everything. I think they've done a pretty good job at cleaning it up. But the next time you went, it's a concrete building and a lot of brick, so you know as well as I do that water's not gonna help the mortar out on that brick.
Well, I'm a little concerned without a furnace, even though if you're using it for 3 seasons, I'm only concerned about another mold problem, just because there's no heat in there. That's the biggest concern I have, and who would be responsible for that?
I think if the building was gonna be occupied, it would be a requirement, in my opinion, to make sure the building was heated.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it would avoid any type of mold going in there, especially if, where it's all made of concrete, you're gonna have a lot of moisture in there.
Well, I could start promoting or fundraising tomorrow to raise the 16,000 for the furnace. But I would need the blessing to go ahead and do it. I don't want to raise 16,000 and not be able to, put the new furnace in.
Right.
Have you looked at different heating systems, like the heat pumps? And those might be quite a bit cheaper, actually, than the 16,000.
Nope, I could by all means go get some extra estimates and different options, alternatives, and we can reapproach this at the next council meeting.
What's the square footage of that building?
It's not a lot, Mike. It's a small building. It looks a lot.
So we have 2 floors,
Yes.
2 floors.
so a heat pump, big enough, would probably cost a lot less than $16,000, with probably 3 heads, one to the basement, one upstairs, because they also have a dehumidifier in that as well. That might be the cheapest way to go if we went with heat pumps.
Okay,
Take a look at that.
sure. I'd be willing to.
I would recommend, if this is anything that the council's interested in doing, to allow Bruce and I to sit down and kind of hammer out a lot of these details, put something together on paper, and come back to the council
Yeah.
with our conclusion of how we can move forward with that.
I'd go along with that.
Bill, do you want to chime in on that a little bit?
before we do anything, I think I would like to take a look at the deed to the property and see what restrictions there might be on use. I understand there already was a lease, but was the funding for this building ultimately, was that Carnegie money
No.
100 years ago?
Roy Lord took the time, thank you, Roy, and to research that, and he found that it is not a Dale Carnegie building.
Okay. Well, I would like to look at the deed beforehand, just to make sure there's no deed restriction on what's proposed to be done. It's not a complicated matter, but it'd be a whole lot better to find out beforehand, before you're raising funds, but then to find out that you can't do what you want to do.
Right.
Probably not a problem, but again, I just would recommend that we check that first.
What kind of time frame are we looking at that, Bill?
Days.
A day?
That was plural.
So we're talking about this right here, aren't we?
Not much.
Yeah, okay.
Give me the deed to the property and that'll make it a lot faster.
If I may, through the chair, I'm a little curious about the structural integrity of the building, with it being flooded as many times as it has. I'd definitely like to somehow get more information about the integrity of the building.
I think, Lee, to be honest with you, the integrity of the building would be fine, because it is a concrete basement. And, but as far as, and the water level never got up to the main floor. It was always contained in that basement. So we can certainly take a look at it. I don't know if it would be worth hiring an engineering firm to look at it, but we can take a look at it.
Couldn't the fire department could do that, couldn't they?
Maybe the fire department could. I don't know. Mike Murphy's a very talented man, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay, on to KV Cap Transportation. Fran?
Oops. It seems that there's been I got some information that people were being charged the wrong price. It was supposed to be the $3 one-way fee, and I was getting emails that people were actually getting charged $5. So I contacted the director of KV Cap and had a chat with him. He didn't remember the $3 agreement. So after speaking with him, he did decide to honor the $3. He did correct me in telling me that there was never a contract or anything in writing, so I did pass it along. Ella and I had been talking about it, and you were supposed to get something in writing. Did we get that?
I'm still waiting on him to get something going. The past director was the one who worked out the deal with us as far as the $3, and when she left, Kirk wasn't apparently appraised of the price.
Right, but there was nothing ever in writing either, right? So we really need to get that, because you hand $10,000 over, you want to have something in writing. So if everybody needs to remember that it's $3, they shouldn't be asking you if you've got Medicare or you're a veteran. It's public transportation. You call, you ask for it, and that may be another reason why people weren't using it as much. That $5 each way is almost the same as a cab. So hopefully that'll get people to use it more often. But please, if you don't get charged that $3 and they're asking you for $5, just send me an email, and I will take care of it. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, on to the fire department.
Good evening. I just wanted to come and talk to you about a couple of things, me and Mike. Some of the stuff that's come up in conversation. One of the things was per diem paramedics. We had talked a year ago about what the response would be. And Mike's come up with a pretty good plan at this point. I want him to explain it to you so you know what's going on. The other thing is that we had some questions about billing. One of the things when the ambulance was originally set up years ago, we weren't going to bill town residents. And they're still not getting billed, but there's a procedure. We checked into it, and we got the law, and we talked to some people. So we wanted to explain that to you and make sure everybody knew about that. What happens after your insurance, what your insurance doesn't cover, what the town of Winslow, and how we're gonna work that out. So I'll let Mike answer those questions, and
Good evening, guys. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Good. So one of the first questions I want to bring up was the fact about the paramedic response. So we follow the determinant codes for medical dispatch. It's a national program. So when they dispatch a call to 99 Smith Street, they tell us what it is, and it starts at Echo being the worst level, Delta, Charlie, Bravo, Alpha, and Omega. Omega being take your time, and Echo being the fastest as you can get there with all the help you can. So how we've been doing it in the past, and we tried to do a paramedic on every call, and what was happening, and it happened multiple times, so I decided to change it, was the paramedic would go to every call. The patient requests to be transported, that patient would go to Augusta, and our paramedic was driving because it was not a paramedic-related call. So therefore, it was a basic level call. So it was either an Alpha or Bravo. So then what happened was, on their way to the hospital, a Charlie or an Echo call would come in, and I would have to call Waterville or Delta to cover the call while my paramedic was being a driver. It didn't make sense to me, because I'm already paying for the paramedic to be on duty, and now I'm paying the fee for somebody else to come in, and I'd have to pay the paramedic from that service. So what we do is we listen up to every call. We will send a paramedic on Alpha and Bravo calls if it sounds funny the way it comes in. And the reason why I say that is if you have an 80-year-old woman that's dizzy, that could come in as Alpha level call. Could it be an Alpha level call? Yes. Could it be a cardiac related call and why they're dizzy? We send the paramedic. If it's not needed, they come back. Anticipation, and it's happened more than once where the paramedic comes back, we have a second call and the paramedic was needed. So that is why we are running that way. It saves resources and it also saves money. Any questions on that part of it? Okay.
Mike, just so people have a good understanding, you're prioritizing your call, that's what you're saying.
Correct. We're going, this is the same model that CommCenter uses, but we also listen to how they dispatch it. And then we go from there.
So if it's a difference, like someone stubs their toe, you're not gonna send the paramedic, you're gonna send a basic EMT.
We're gonna send, right. And if
So
I
the
have it.
paramedic's ready for a chest pain or
Chest
difficulty
pain
breathing.
or, you know, anything Charlie and above. So it's Alpha, Bravo, and it goes down the list. I know how they prioritize Echo as first, but it's Alpha, Bravo. We don't, unless it's needed. We've had some Alpha calls where we've sent the basic, it'd be no different. They call back, yeah, this isn't what it came in as, send the paramedic. They get their paramedic assessment, and it's within 2 or 3 minutes. It's actually shorter than if we waited to dispatch another service to come in.
Well, I guess I'm a little confused.
Mhm.
You get a call that comes in, you rate it, however,
Mm-hmm.
you rate it. If it's a serious call, you will send the paramedic anyway.
Mhm.
And if it's a less stub your toe call thing, you don't send the paramedic.
Mhm.
But when the rescue gets to that scene on a stub toe, and they find out it's something a lot more serious than that, broken leg, broken whatever,
Mhm.
then you've got to call in a paramedic?
It would be no different if I didn't have a paramedic and I had to call another service. It's
But if
not
you
that
sent the
much, it's
paramedic,
shorter.
And the paramedic found out there was only a stub toe,
Mhm.
not a broken leg, the paramedic can go right back to the station. And the EMS guys take control of it.
Right, but we've had multiple calls where the paramedic is going to the stub toe and a chest pain will come in.
Well, that's always gonna be a risk, no matter what the call is.
No, that's why they prioritize. They're in the field, they know enough which call is gonna be
I
prioritized
just remember that
here.
we were sitting here one day at a meeting, discussing to add the paramedic.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, it was pretty unanimous, and Ray Karen gave a speech on his heart attack issue, and a lot of other things, that we wanted a paramedic on every call. Well, we can't afford it right now. It would seem to me that if you send a paramedic out on the first call and the paramedic's not needed, that paramedic can go back to the station. And we still have a paramedic there in case the calls, and I'm sure you come up on it a lot of times, where the calls coming into you are more serious than the call says.
Right.
That happens fairly often.
Right. It does, and on the same token, the paramedic would still have to go from A to B if a second call comes in, so it's, the
Yes.
time delay is still the time delay, no matter how you look at it, if she's going, or they're going from one call to another.
Yeah, and then if the paramedic is on that call, and a second call comes in, we have mutual aid.
We usually can handle 2 calls at the same time.
If you need another paramedic, we call mutual aid. Been that way forever.
Mm-hmm.
But that meeting we had was to decide to keep the third ambulance or not. To have a paramedic on duty, on a call, every call going out. And to me, that would mean the first call. And if it's not necessary, go back to the station. You just said 2 or 3 minutes time. That's the way it was set up back then.
Not disagreeing with you. I was not there back then, so.
I think you were still here when the third ambulance was voted on.
The third okay.
Through
To
the,
keep the third ambulance.
through the chair. Are you finished? I'm sorry, Dale.
That was my understanding of what's happened in the past, and now we've got to change. And with mutual aid, the cost can be up. We have mutual aid, we don't pay for mutual aid.
We do pay for mutual aid for a paramedic,
$300 a call.
and the price is going up, correct. Mutual aid is not free. The only time mutual aid is free is Waterville and us, and Waterville and Winslow go call for call.
So when we go on a mutual aid calls to Waterville with a paramedic, we get reimbursed for that. get
We
paid for that?
pay, if we go to Waterville, we get the entire pay. We don't give them a $300 stipend for the paramedic, which is what they request.
So Waterville does that for us? Mm-hmm. They charge us $300?
So we go call for call. So far, we're up $900 so far this month, because they haven't come to us, we've gone to them. And they just back and forth.
Okay, so if that's average, then we're not losing money.
We are if we have to call Delta first, which is our MOU.
Delta
with-
charges the $300.
Yes, they do.
Well, $300 a call, I'm not concerned about that if the risk is better that the paramedic is on the first call. But things are gonna happen.
Through the chair. I think the agreement was, Dale, that we would utilize paramedics on every shift. It wasn't every call, it was every shift. Prioritizing a call to an emergency, a medical emergency, is what the comm center does. It's what the trained paramedic knows how to do. And I can tell you, if you waste a paramedic, how often does a paramedic not work on their shift, Mike?
Not very often.
So they're working, but if they're skipping that one call, which they are pretty certain, because if it's iffy, they're gonna send a paramedic no matter what.
Correct.
And so if you're gonna, I hate to say it, but, and also the basic EMTs can sustain somebody. They can sustain until you get a paramedic. They're not, if it's questionable at all from what he was saying, they're gonna send a paramedic. But it was never agreed we would send one on every call. It was agreed we would have them on every shift available. And that's all I've got.
Well, it was my understanding that we bring on the paramedic, so we had a paramedic, yes, on every shift. And that would lead me to believe that when we get a call, the paramedic goes out first. You have too many instances where the call is more serious than you think it is. But when you go down the line until you get to the house, and use the example of the 80-year-old lady. Trouble breathing, fell out of a chair, fell down, broke a hip, or just fell down and wants help getting up. The paramedic is there, I believe the paramedic should go out on a call, on that call. And that gives us, the citizens, complete coverage, the best we can do.
No, it's not.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I got a quick
Yes, sir.
question. If it's an A or B call,
Mhm.
and you think, and you interpret that call based on individual situation, like if it is a 80-something-year-old lady that might have fallen down and the injuries are really unknown but doesn't really sound like, in a situation like that, would you make the judgment call?
We send a paramedic, correct?
Because you're not sure if
Right, and-
the patient really can assess the situation
Correct.
themselves?
Yep, so, like I said before, they will dispatch us, ComCenter will dispatch by the determinant code, and we listen to that determinant code. So like I said, if 89-year-old woman is feeling dizzy or fell because she was dizzy, and she said she was dizzy before we fall, we send the paramedic because it could be cardiac related, whether her pulse rate is too fast, irregular, or whatever. So a paramedic does go. But for a general lift assist for an A or B, we don't.
Are you, is the department or you specifically keeping track of how many times the calls come in and they're not actually the call that was announced, that it could be far less or far greater need for
We are not,
paramedic?
because it happens every day on a daily basis. We'll get a Bravo or a Delta level call, and we get there, and it's actually, we've had Echo level calls for somebody not breathing, and we've got there and they were just sleeping. No joke.
So, I mean, would it serve any purpose to chart that stuff?
Other than for your information, I mean, and I'm not trying to be smart,
Yeah.
but we don't track that now.
No, I just thought maybe if you tracked it.
Actually, it is tracked because in our ambulance report, it tells you how many Cs, Ds, Es, and how many times we needed a paramedic. It's actually on this sheet we give you with our monthly reports.
Okay. All right, it was just a thought. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else on that? Thank you.
Do you want the second part of the?
Well, on that part I'm talking.
Correct, okay. So, on the part of the EMS billing, so we charge the citizens of Winslow to their insurance company. We looked into it because we had a complaint that somebody got either a charge or whatever the insurance did not pay. And then what ended up happening was we have to, per the insurance company, send them, or our billing company has to send them a bill because it's against the law, per Maine law, and I have the law in here and it's quite extensive, that they have to send it out if they have a copay. So if they pay up to, if you have $1,000 or whatever, but you've met 800 of it and they have to send it out per law, your copay. They can't write it off. We do, however, write it off once the bill goes out and they decide not to pay it and it stays open. We do write that off. We do not go after town citizens. We don't send it to a collections bureau. We're doing exactly what we're told to do. But according to billing, they have to do this for state law.
That billing goes through the billing company that we use, right?
Correct.
They send out all the bills,
They do.
all the insurances are paid,
Yep,
and there's a balance of however, $200.
yep. And
They then send a bill to the
correct.
Winslow resident for $200.
Yes.
And if the Winslow resident doesn't pay that within, what is it, 180 days?
Yeah, I believe so.
Whatever.
I'm not sure. It's either 90 or 180 days.
So if they don't pay it within that 190 days,
They just
the
write,
billing company lets us know.
they let me know, and they tell me it's a town, and, it's a town residence, and we've been doing it since I've been here, is we
So-
write
so
it
why
off.
does the town resident ever pay that bill? We're not gonna go after them, which is fine, we shouldn't be.
Correct, but that was the, whoops, sorry, Lenny.
No, I don't think they have, I don't think a lot of people know that. I don't know how to get the message out to people in town. If they don't watch council meetings, they wouldn't know that most people that pay their bills are gonna get that second bill and think they're gonna have to pay it. So I don't know how to get it out to everybody.
Right, and
Get it out right now.
Right,
People
that's
pay
what
their
we're
bill.
hoping, that's why we're here.
Right, and I understand that, and I understand it, but the agreement we had when we started the ambulance, and I've been really strict on that, is looking at that, she sends them to me, and we don't bill.
Yeah, I
We don't go
understand that.
after
That's
them.
been our policy since the ambulances were here.
Correct.
We would not directly bill
Correct.
citizens
Well-
for the
Right.
unpaid balance after insurances.
Right,
I think that's always been our policy,
and it has been, but I was not
yeah.
privy to that law until I was enlightened when the complaint came out,
So
and
all
I
the
asked
citizen,
them.
all the citizen has to do is wait that 90, 180 days, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
We get it back from the billing company.
She'll
And that's
email
it.
me,
That's
and
it.
I
Don't
say,
pay
write
the
it
bill.
off, go,
You should never
done.
get a second bill.
Right.
Okay, citizens, don't pay your bill.
Why would you encourage that? Doesn't
Because
help the
they're-
town to do that.
They're our citizens.
Doesn't help our service.
It's gonna be our citizens not paying for what's not covered by insurance. And that was the agreement way back when, that we wouldn't do it, when this thing was set up.
I'm just saying you're not doing a service to the town of Winslow if you
We
make that
s-
fail because you're telling them not to
I'm
pay
doing
their
a service
bill.
for the citizens of this town.
But if you're not a Winslow resident, they will go for collection.
The company will, yes. We, as a town, do not, we hire somebody to do that for us.
Yeah.
Correct, the town, there's nothing that, but there is not there's not an ambulance service around that's not bill for services, just like a medical insurance.
Right.
Now, the ones that we have written off, the ones that we write off, do we have a record of that?
Yes,
From
we
year to
do.
year, if we do?
We do.
And how has it been in the previous years?
Not bad. Not
Okay.
bad, I don't have that with me, it should actually be right in your budget reports, or your,
The accounts receivables have been going up slightly every month.
what's that?
The accounts receivable have been going up.
Right.
On that report that you just mentioned.
Right,
It's up to
I think we're up to 160,000 now.
71.
right,
171.
171 now.
yeah.
That's
Okay.
been going up. as time goes on.
All right, thank you.
That's all we had.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanna, can I just have 1 minute to say something about the police department since I'm here? Some good news, we just promoted Charles Theobald to sergeant to replace Alex Jones. He's a tenured employee, been here a long time, I expect great things out of him. He lives in town, he knows the town, and he's really gonna be an asset to us because he's very experienced. We also, the officer of the year this year was Lieutenant Hubert. The last 6 months being shorthanded, Brad really stepped up to the plate. He did unbelievable things, working all these hours, helping out, and I really thought he deserved it this year. So, and the third thing is, we had 4 open positions a month ago. I believe we have 3 of them filled. They're in the process. The last position that we have open, I have probably the 4 or 5 best applications we've ever had in the last year. So, and the 3 people we're looking at all have college educations, so there is some positive hope there, so I just wanted to add that in, so.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Are these all trained officers, or are these that have to
One
go
is.
through just one?
One is, yeah, there's nobody out there with what we call blue pens. I have one I think we're gonna be able to get here, but the rest we're gonna have to put.
He's not hired yet?
He's not. No, he's in the process. We have 3, the process is so long, that's why I can't sit here and tell you I have them all filled,
Yeah.
because there's so many things that have gone on in the process, but at least we have people in the process now.
Now, how many are going to be going to the academy then?
I got 1 going in January, and then we have another year before we have to send them to the academy. But there's quite a process before that. They have to basically get what's called their green pen, which means they have to do 3 phases. One on a computer for 40 hours, then they have to do 80 hours with us, and they have to do another 80 hours, and they have to go through their FTO program for 12 weeks. And then at that point, and like hopefully if everything goes smooth, from the time we hire them, usually around the 3 or 4 month mark, we can actually have them on the road helping us out.
Okay, so from there, they're gonna go to the academy, is that what you're saying?
Right, within 3 months, 4 months, we'll have them on the road
Okay.
covering calls, and then within the year, they have to go to the academy.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, on to the hiring process for a new town manager or an interim manager. Fran, Jeff,
Good, Fran.
Tanya's here.
No, go ahead, Jeff, you can go first. Interim before town manager.
Well, as far as I mean, my big thing is the interim at this point, because obviously the town manager is gonna take a while to get somebody in here. My suggestion would be, if Paul's interested, because he's done it before, is have him as our interim with a stipend that needs to be agreed upon, obviously. And just see where people stand on that.
When is this supposed to start? Are we talking about if Paul decides to do this and we have him, is that gonna start in January, what, one time a week?
Well, I think probably.
Because he's already been in it?
Paul should come in with me for the month of January. I've got all these grants and federal websites that I gotta transfer over to him and show him what I'm doing on those. So it's probably a good solid month worth of training that whoever takes over is gonna have to have.
Should we put out feelers and before we spend this kind of money as far as looking for another town manager? Shouldn't we put out feelers and see if there's anybody out there that may want this position of town manager before we go and spend $8,000-$10,000 with a firm? Try to save us some money, maybe we'll get somebody and get lucky and probably get somebody that might be interested in being town manager.
Hi, man, on that situation, Mike, I would find it very hard pressed to find anyone that has the qualifications and or education to do that kind of job.
But we won't know unless we put the feelers out. We won't know.
Put it in
I mean,
an
we
ad
can
in the
find
paper.
out. I mean, these people here come in and they put an application in, we can find out, you know, what they can do or what they can't do. But we won't know if we just go and hire some other company to do it for us. It's a chance of saving several $1,000s if we can. I'm for that. I mean, it's not gonna hurt. We'd really,
We can still look into other avenues while the fields are
yeah,
out there.
absolutely.
I think like Tanya, can she put it out there that we're looking for interim or that we're looking
Yeah,
for
could you
town
do
manager?
that?
And just put it out there.
Yeah,
And then.
and see what's gonna go from there.
See if we get any applications or anything.
I mean, I would think that we should put some basic parameters and qualifications.
Is there a job description, Tanya?
I can make one.
We've got a job description.
I would think so.
We just gotta touch it up, but yeah, we have one. So I can place the ad.
Bill, would you like to chime in on this at all? You have more experience with this than any of us here.
Well, can I speak first on the,
Certainly.
about the- Thank you. The part about hiring a new town manager, the interim is separate from the town manager thing right now, and I do believe that like Ellis said, that, you know, as long as we could get whomever in there by January. So there's not a need right now for the interim, but there should be we should start now on deciding, Tanya, again, to put feelers out for hiring a town manager, but also we need to discuss the idea that Bill came up with hiring a company to do all of that. And we all got the information. You've got the Maine Municipal and we've got Eaton Peabody. There's a difference of about $1,000 between Maine Municipal and Eaton Peabody, meaning Maine Municipal's cheaper. And it would cost about $6,600 for Maine Municipal to do everything, to write the job descriptions, to find the best candidates, then present them to us. So if you want to spend, you know, $6,000, it's a done deal, and then you're gonna have a very transparent and fair way to hire a town manager. It's not somebody else new, it's gonna be outside of all of us. It'll be fair, it'll be transparent, and hopefully the best pool to choose from. So I think we need to get going on that real quick, though, because it will take a few months for a company to do
I
that.
totally agree with you.
So can we decide that tonight? Have Tanya put feelers out as well as figuring out which company you might want to go with if you want to go that route? And get it going, get it started.
Bill?
I have no problem with that. And I agree, we gotta separate interim and permanent town manager. The two proposals we have, Eaton Peabody and Maine Municipal, 6,600 versus 7,500. But if you look at that close enough, Fran, there's a lot of things in the Eaton Peabody one, 7,500, that they do not include, that
Right.
MMA does.
Right,
So that 75 is gonna be more than 75.
right.
MMA includes basically everything,
I agree.
if I read it right, except for advertising,
No, I agree with you.
at 66.
Yep.
So I have no problem with MMA. The only other thing I'd say on it is that if you read the paper, recently, Gardner just hired theirs, and they went through Eaton Peabody. And that was a 4-month process. So, half of one, six of the other, does it make any difference? You're talking probably, it would cost another $1,000 probably for Eaton Peabody. Or go with MMA.
Oh, I think they said 2,000 more.
It could be, it
Yeah.
could be.
So, yeah,
Because of the
MMA
things
would be
that
the.
they do not include that MMA does.
Yep, you're right. Yep,
So I would have no problem on moving that we authorize the chairman with Tanya to get an MMA representative up here before the council and give us their spiel on what they're gonna do.
I agree.
And do that as soon as possible. Tomorrow. Well,
I'll
But-
get on that.
but that would seem the way to go on the permanent town manager. And I think they said they could start in
They said they
December
could actually
something or
start this
other.
month.
What's that?
They said they could start at the end of the month.
Yeah, they put a date of December something in there
Yep.
where they could start.
That was right. When I reached out to both companies and I emailed you guys, I
So
think 2 weeks
Tanya,
ago,
between
they said the end
you
of December.
and Jeff, you can work things out on setting that up.
Yep,
To get them to come to the council first,
okay.
to give us their spiel on what everything's gonna be.
Do you want at that site and time for me to have an order written up so you guys could sign the contract also? If you guys decide on that, because obviously it'd be an order so you could sign the contract.
We could
With-
call a special session the next day
Okay.
and do the contract.
Okay,
Because I'm sure there's gonna be things that are gonna be discussed in the contract that will have to be changed. It's inevitable, something's gonna come up.
okay.
So does that sound okay with the
That
council?
sounds
Good.
good.
Sounds good to me.
Can I just ask a question? Are you wanting Tanya to set up this presentation at the next council meeting, or would you like a special meeting?
As soon as they're ready, we could set up a special session. Not an executive session, a special session. Bill, is that executive session stuff?
It'd be open session.
Can be open? Okay.
Well, it
Because
would,
it involves the contract with MMA.
right, if you're gonna be having a discussion with them, it would have to be an open session.
Okay.
Well, we have a training coming up, that'll be a public meeting, right? On the 16th, you're presenting.
Right, it is, it's not called as a council meeting, it's called as an orientation session, which counselors are invited to attend.
But it's public. 'cause
It's public, or you have to, because a quorum of the council could show up. A quorum might not show up, and it still goes ahead because it's not a council meeting. It's really an orientation session with a focus toward the newly elected councilor, but other councilors, of course, might be interested in attending and participating in the process.
Is that something we could add to that, though, at the end of that meeting after, since it's open to the public?
Well, it's open to the public to attend. It won't be open to the public for discussion because it's really focused on the council. But it's not being called as a council meeting, so you wouldn't be allowed to take any official action at that. Okay?
We could listen to this if he came in and talked to us, though, and then
You
set
could,
up the next appointment after that to take the vote.
you could invite somebody to come and make a presentation if you wished. Yes.
Okay.
That could be done, but you just can't vote on it.
Yep. Awesome.
So we can incorporate it for the 16th when we're doing this other thing here,
As long as we don't vote on it.
as long as we don't vote on
Yeah,
it.
you'd be inviting, and all counselors are
Okay.
invited to come, and if they can come, great. But you don't get to vote.
Okay.
Are we
It's gonna
have
depend
that
on.
before the orientation or after?
Right now, we're just set for an orientation session starting at 6 o'clock.
I just make a request that the MMA be at 6 o'clock first.
Yeah.
So that we make sure we get time to
Get them in and get them out, so
to
they're
get
not
them in
sitting
and get
here.
them out.
It would be good not to make them wait.
Yeah.
If that's possible, if they can even make the meeting on the 16th.
Well, that's
so.
right. That, yes, you don't know that. So somebody should, from the town, should contact MMA to see about that availability. If that's- if that might-
director.
If they're not available, Tanya, set it up for the first available date.
And we can just
Email
call a
them
special
tonight.
meeting.
Preferably at 6.
Yeah.
Right.
So we still, Tanya, you're still gonna write up put feelers out to see if there's anybody there that still wants to apply before going to.
I definitely can, but I believe it's also part of the process that MMA does, is they do it, but I can definitely write something, and they can, obviously, when they present to you guys.
Maybe put something on the town webpage or.
No, put it out, because MMA, it might be a while before they can
Yeah.
actually
True.
get going with
Put
it.
those, yeah, put
I
those
can do
out
that.
first. Yeah, that'd be
Please.
great, thank you.
On the interim manager, if there's a need for an interim town manager, Paul's done it before. Paul knows everything that's going on pretty much in his office with the bonds that are coming up and all of this. I would just like to strongly suggest that we consider Paul now for interim town manager. I think it was pretty cheap last time, weren't you, Paul?
I've learned since then.
Your salary gone up any?
Probably. We'll talk.
But I think we should get Paul on board just as soon as we can, for the reason being, is that if we don't get a town manager, and to have a town manager in here within 2 or 3 months is probably gonna be quick. So I would suggest we give Paul, call it the title of interim manager, and he can work with Eller. He's in town, it's not like he has to be with Eller 5 days a week. And they can work out the schedule themselves because Paul's already here. And make sure we at least have that step-in process, if this drags on. Instead of getting Paul in or somebody else in interim when we're under the gun.
In all fairness, I don't think we're under the gun, though, and I appreciate Paul, and I think Paul could do a fine job, but I don't think we need to name or act on it today. There's no big hurry to have an interim.
Well,
And you'll be paying him more money, so that's saving a little bit of money, too. You don't need him for another 6 weeks or so,
It's gonna be
I'm
under the
sorry,
gun when
3
the time
weeks.
comes.
3 weeks.
because she's here till February, so we're good till February. And if Paul's can step in, he can step in at any time. I think we should just take our time a little bit with the interim, because it's not the first priority right now.
You're going to have to appoint him to that position. So that will take a council action. That's a single reading, because it's short-term, all the money would be spent within the existing budget year. But you will have to take an official action, so you have to keep that in mind.
Right.
And I do know the cost of hiring an interim manager can run $800 to $1,000 a day.
A day?
I know that because I've been.
I'm in the wrong field. What's up with that?
Throw your name in. But it's, yes, with another community, I reviewed a contract for an interim. And it was, it's expensive, and I have to assume, and from what I've been told, that's pretty standard. You're looking at $100 an hour. And you can do the math, and that can add up rather quickly. So just keep that in mind.
And Paul, you were what, $500 a week last time?
Would you agree to that now?
Give and take.
Not after hearing.
So, yeah, it would be good to have some information too, Dale, on what's the added cost and all of that beyond his pay. Is it gonna come up to the same amount as what Bill was just saying?
For Paul?
Yeah,
I hope not.
I know.
I think we should figure out some numbers and kind of bounce it around and see how it all turns out. It's-
With Paul, it's a stipend, so it doesn't affect other benefits and all that other stuff. The other one,
Anything else on this matter?
No.
Moving on?
I believe we're on to public comment, so I will read my statement. Any person willing to verbally address the council on any matter before it may do so, providing permission is first obtained by the council chair. Each person addressing the council shall stand, give the person's name and address in an audible tone of voice for the record, and shall limit remarks to the time allotted, which is 3 minutes, by the council chair. All remarks shall be addressed to the council as a body and not to any member thereof. No person other than the council and the person having the floor shall be permitted to enter into any discussion, either directly or through a counselor, without the permission of the council chair. No questions shall be asked a counselor except through the council chair. Any person making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks who shall become boisterous while addressing the council shall be forthwith by the council chair barred from further audience before the council, unless permission is granted, permission to continue be granted by a majority vote of the council. And I do have 2 emails that were submitted to read. You want me to
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So the first one is submitted by Deb Russell on Garland Road. There has been a lot of chatter on social media as well as public comments at recent town council meetings about, quote, the new council members costing taxpayers money and legal fees, end quote. While the current council has accrued legal fees amounting in $6,607.50, the town council is over budget in their line because there was 0 allotted. I am told by the town manager, the quote, the town council legal budget wasn't needed as the town budget would be sufficient based on her last job, end quote. The town of Winslow was allotted $30,000 for legal fees, and year to date is $35,472.50, making them $3,472.50 over budget, and it is only December. Well, there is currently 2 open cases, and KSO was in the town office serving again a few weeks ago. There's sure to be more. Also, another executive session called for tonight. I feel it's important for the people of Winslow to know who and where legal fees are adding up. It's time to accept our council and let them do their job representing us instead of fighting them and laying blame on them for all Winslow's problems. Thanks, Deb Russell, Garland Road. Okay, and the next one is from Greg Roby of 95 Mineral Springs Road in Highland Mills, New York. Dear Councilor West and honorable council members, this is both a standalone matter of communication with the council and an extension of the November 7th communication. It is particularly an extension of the November 7th submission is now on the December 9th agenda. Our town clerk has acknowledged receiving my November 26, 2024 inquiry to that office concerning documents that constituents the council duly resolved to authorize the appearance and actions of our town attorney regarding what was a notice and land use matter question. Our clerk's alleged confusion as reply on December 2nd now joins our town manager's silence. This is a functional government speech concerning this matter. It is prejudicially an injury. Please be aware that based on the court actions, the justice attributes this to, quote, court clerk's office, unquote, that I have prayed for a review and reconsideration of the actions of the court to date. and this relative is scheduled December 13th hearing. The court's actions that led to its effecting of a civil case without due process. The same curtails my right to due process under our Constitution. This too was discussed in attachment to the November 7th communication as my notes in effort at transparency in my communication with our town clerk on November 26th. Also, please be aware that our town clerk skirts her duties to the impartial concern a duly filed appeal to our Board of Appeals, citing it in its traditional role. Such is extended to initiate as local review the abusive practices of governmental speech, both as silent and as, at best, extra legal bully of constitutional protection, #purpose speech of the people. As noted in the attached document of November 7th, the petition continuance of timing filed for a judicial review is due to the court's error, now a rather inclusive set of matters. Please consider a council resolution to support the petition for the continuance of the purpose of delay filing. And this pending an order for the town manager to process the outstanding #4 purpose 13S. This would be the purpose of the town officer reporting to the council a disposition if determined finding of fact and law of these matters. My time. Is there anyone else?
Bill Carey, China Road. After Audrey's reading of the rules, your rules, and at last month's meeting, she read your rules. She started reading the first letter, and as it started on the personal attacks of a few, the chair should have put a stop to the whole thing, but didn't. The whole thing was a setup show from the beginning, and it was sad that someone needed the liberal media to be here for the show. I wonder how many of the concerned citizens that were here will be on next year's ballot. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Bill Sadowski, Quimby Lane. Nearly 3 months ago, I was told by the chair of the council that I had to submit in writing a grievance. I submitted that grievance to the town clerk, and it's been over 3 months and I haven't heard nothing about it. In the meantime, I went to the code enforcement officer on the phone to get a permit. And very rudely, he hung up on me. So I proceeded to go to the Winslow Police Department, and he was called down to the Winslow Police Department. And guess what? I got my permit. Now, I'd like to have an answer on my grievance, please.
Anyone else?
Taylor White, live on Warren Terrace. I would like to respond to the response about the liberal media and say that last month I quoted that I was going to be here in support of the town, and I will continue to be here in support of the town even when the media is not present. So I think that that concern today is kind of null and void, just to kind of bring that to the forefront. But in regards to the search for a town manager, we've been discussing people in the town that may be able to be here for an interim town manager position. I'm wondering if we're looking outside of the box, maybe going to universities around the state and seeing if there are pipeline programs for people that are graduating in public policy programs to see if they might be interested in coming up to Winslow and working with our interim manager to try to learn from him, as he seems he's very experienced and willing. If that's an avenue that maybe we could go to local universities or colleges and see if people are willing to go into a type of program like that or what that would look like. It probably wouldn't cost so much since people graduating are kind of flexible for the most part in the type of income that they can receive. Might be a different avenue for us instead of thousands of dollars on different programs, especially when we're talking about spending money on ambulance services and things of that nature. Might be a good use of funds, and just wanted to kind of throw that out there as food for thought. That's all.
Tara,
Thank you.
what was your last name?
Taylor White, like the color.
What? Thank you. And what was your address?
I live on Warren Terrace.
Warren, thank you. Sorry.
Lisa Carey, China Road. I just have a concern with the questions about the ambulance service and the paramedics going on every call. I guess I find it insulting that you don't feel like I don't tell people how to do their job, and for somebody to try and tell me what my job entails or think they understand what my job entails, you have no idea. I mean, I am able to make judgment calls on calls. I have gone to a call that came in as a Delta level call, and then ironically, right around the corner from this call was another call that actually needed my services. So we ended up having to swap crews around to be able to cover the call. You know, I don't tell you guys how to do your job. I really don't think you should tell us how to do our job. We know we've been in this business a long time. We know how to prioritize what we're doing, how we're doing it, and to think that somebody can just sit back and say, you know, well, they need a paramedic on every call. We don't need a paramedic on every call. I mean, there are a lot of calls that are truly lift assist with no personal injuries, and we get told that, and we send a basic crew out to do that. If a paramedic is needed, if they get there and find something else, we're literally at the station. All we have to do is drive to them. It doesn't take more than 5 minutes to get pretty much anywhere in this town. So I just want you to know, please don't tell us how to do our job, because I don't tell you how to do yours.
Anyone else?
Joel Sowat, Augusta Road. I didn't plan any remarks, but hearing some of the discussion and some of the other suggestions in regards to the town manager search, I just wanted to remind people of a few things. Actually, I wasn't really aware of it per se until I looked it up one day. Winslow, if you haven't already figured it out, is a complicated town. But we're also, most people don't understand, we are the third largest community in Kennebec County. Out of whatever it is, 28, 29 communities, I forget exactly what it is. We're at number 3, only behind Augusta and Waterville. This is not, nothing against any of the other towns, but you know, this is not a town of 1,500 people with limited public services. There's a lot going on in this town. So just wanted to throw that out there for both the public and the council, because quite honestly, I didn't know until I looked it up a few years ago. That's like, you know, put it in perspective. There's cities in Kennebec County that are smaller than us. A lot of these municipalities do not have their own school systems. You know, so there's a lot of things that makes filling this position important, and it's important that we get somebody who's up to the job. So that's all I want to throw out there. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Being nobody, we will close public comment.
On to executive session, a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA subsection 4056E, consultation with legal counsel.
I have a motion?
Motion, I motion.
So moved.
Second.
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Fran Hudson.
Yes.
Adam Lind.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
And Mike Joseph.
Yes.
And, Jeff.
Gee,
Jeff
thanks.
West.
Yes.
The motion to go into executive session passes 6-0.
Thank you, everybody.